After I got out of the Army, I floated around on some odd and end jobs for a little bit, and saw an opening or an advertisement in the Ledger for applicants for the fire department, and I thought, man, what a great career that would be. So I applied for the position and was lucky enough to get it.
I became a junior volunteer at the age of 13 at the former Fire District 1 of Polk County, which was on East Main Street, just west of Cumbie Road. And I knew from then on I wanted to be a fireman. And when I was 17, graduated high school, I took standards and eventually got hired at Lakeland Fire Department.
I came to Florida looking for a job, and a friend of mine was on the PD at the time, and I got some suggestions from him, and he said if he had to do it again, he would have joined the fire department instead of the police department.
Well, we came in the morning and took care of our morning routine, checking the trucks, checking the equipment, making sure everything was working. And then after that, as a rookie, most of the time during the day was spent studying. We did some things. We had some baseball or softball games and different things with the police department, things like that.
Usually the first thing after putting your stuff on the truck, your gear, would be collecting for lunch and what are we going to eat today.
Typically, the first thing you did was check out your vehicle and make sure everything was operational, and then you took a break, and then usually we had a kitty for the chow kitty. We had 10, 15 fellows at Central Station where I was at, and everybody kicked in a few dollars, and we had two meals of lunch and supper, and then we did some training or went check hydrants. There was always some kind of training on that afternoon, unless it was a weekend. And then we'd have the evening meal and check our trucks again. And then it was, back then we played a lot of basketball. We called it combat basketball down at the old station because it was just two walls probably 15 feet apart, and that was it. So it was a quick 24 hours.
To me, the biggest thing was the development of the new fire trucks without a tailboard. When I started, we rode the tailboard to fires a lot of times, and it was kind of fun. But then they changed, and they didn't do that any longer. They had the enclosed cabs.
One thing we had, we never used it because it cost too much for the argon gas, but it was something that was very similar to, I guess, the thermal imaging cameras we have today. But basically you could go in a dark room and it would show the temperature differential. And then we also had something called a water drill. It just wasted a lot of water and didn't drill much.
The major thing I do remember stuck out of my mind was Jaws of Life. It was, for the fire service, it was a big breakthrough as far as accidents go and trying to extricate a victim or anything. It was really apropos called the Jaws of Life, because it really did save lives.
My first call, as far as I can remember, was a vehicle fire. And of course I was excited and nervous and trying to get dressed on the tailboard of a fire truck and hoping I didn't fall off on the way to the fire.
My first call, I didn't do a whole lot. Back in those days, we had 5 guys on an engine. It was a car on fire inside of a garage of a house, but the garage was detached, so much wasn't a house fire. But I remember it was on Eunice Road, which is as in Miramar and Morningside Eunice, off of Florida Avenue, north of Station 2. But we were on the backup truck for Unit 5, the pumpkin as people would know it. And by the time we got down there, they had already had the fire knocked down. So, but that was my first fire call with LFD.
I would think the very first call would be over here at the Continental Car Washes, just around the corner. I believe it's still there. And one of the employees, I don't know if he was an employee or a customer, got his foot hung up in the track of where they pull the vehicles through the machine to the washing machine. And he was in there a pretty good while, and he was hollering the whole time. But we did extricate him. We didn't have the jaws then. It might have made it a little easier, but as far as I know, when they hauled him away, he was doing pretty good.
To me, the most memorable fire was the Albertsons grocery store fire. That was a very large fire. It was the first large fire I think that I had been to.
Oh, there's too many to, I could give you the top 10 list or something, but I didn't get on the initial call, but when the Albertsons arson fire, I got into probably a good 16 hours of overhaul down there. And one of my last years out at Station 4, we had a huge cardboard and craft paper fire at Bardcore. And I'm known for saying some silly things on the radio, but on the way there, I was giving people a report, and I basically said that the sun was rising in the west, because that was probably the most fire I'd probably seen in some time. But pretty impressive fire, and we were there probably a good 12 hours.
Probably one of the most memorable would have been trackside shoot. We were, it was on Florida Avenue, I forget, 400 or 500 block, and it was pretty well involved, but we didn't really realize it until the last minute, and everything started coming apart, and we were told to go in, and then a few minutes later told to go out and get out, and by the time we got out on one of the exchanges, the wall came down, and I guess my eyes must have got as big as saucers, because it was right about where I was standing. So it was pretty memorable. It's probably one of the most memorable ones I went to.